Professor.
Action News, Delaware Valley's leading news program, with Rick Williams, Sarah Bloomquist, and meteorologist David Murphy.
We're going to get you right to breaking news this noon, happening in Center City right now. Chopper 6 HD over the scene of a shooting near 16th and Arch Streets. Police tell Action News a man in his 20s was shot twice in the shoulder. The man was taken to Hahnemann Hospital. So far, no word on his condition. At this time, a motive for the shooting is not known and no arrests have been made. We're going to continue to update the story as more information becomes available. Now to the weather this Friday afternoon and a summer-like end to the start of fall. Autumn officially arrives later today, but you won't be able to tell if you head outside. Sky 6 HD takes a live look over the Commodore Barry Bridge for you. Temperatures for the start of fall will be, imagine this, in the 80s, and it's not going to cool down anytime soon. Meteorologist Melissa McGee is in the Weather Center with a first check on your AccuWeather forecast. Melissa, summer hanging on, even if the party's over.
Yeah, Mother Nature's not ready to let up summer just yet. Alicia will show you the picture outside. Sky 6 Live in HD looking at Philadelphia International. You should be okay if you're catching a flight. The weather looks to be calm across the region. So we'll look at the weather headlines. Unseasonably warm on our Friday and a dry stretch on the way. We're not tracking any rain for the next 5 days and the potential of a heat wave as we get into next week. Temperatures outside right now are in the 70s, 75 in Philadelphia, 79 for Allentown, the upper 70s in Lancaster at the coast in Cape May, 73 down in Dover in at 75. As we look at the autumnal equinox, certainly not going to feel like fall later on today with these unseasonably warm conditions. Fall arrives a little after 2 o'clock in the afternoon when the sun's direct rays are right over the equator. As we look at Satellite 6 along with Action Radar, it's dry and quiet across our region, but we are still tracking post-tropical storm Jose, the outer rain band still affecting southern sections of New England, but we are keeping a close eye on the tropics. We've got Hurricane Maria. It's a Category 3 storm. Wind sustained right now at 125 miles per hour. It's about 55 miles to the north of Grand Turk Island. This will cross away from the Turks and Caicos and come pretty close to the southern Bahama region to our weekend. But as we look at the track, this will weaken as we get into early next week, and for the most part it looks like it's going to stay offshore. We've got more details on Maria plus our weather back here at home. Alicia with the full and exclusive AccuWeather forecast.
All right, keep those shorts for a little while longer. Melissa, thank you. Keep with the changes to this forecast this weekend right on your phone or tablet. That includes real-time views from Storm Tracker 6. The 6 ABC app is a free download for your mobile device. Residents in Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands, and all across the Caribbean now are just beginning to assess the devastation of Hurricane Maria. In Dominica, at least 15 people were killed. In Puerto Rico, the entire island is still without power and may remain that way for weeks, if not months. The Navy is in the U.S. Virgin Islands evacuating residents where the only electricity there is from generators. And more help is on the way. FEMA is sending generators, water, and portable shelters to Puerto Rico. Airlines are also planning to resume flights there as early as today. Earthquake survivors are still being pulled from the rubble in Mexico City as rescue operations stretch into a fourth day now. The city government said 60 people had been rescued since the 7.1 magnitude earthquake hit on Tuesday. But with each passing day, fewer of the living are being found. The death toll now stands at 286. In a shocking twist, a little girl reportedly trapped in a collapsed school apparently did not exist. Rescue crews say they heard the girl and they saw her wiggle her fingers. But officials say every child registered at that school has been accounted for. Tensions continue to escalate between the U.S. and North Korea. President Donald Trump announced increased sanctions against North Korea, while Kim Jong-un is now threatening to test a hydrogen bomb over the Pacific Ocean. ABC's Janae Norman has the very latest from Washington.
A fiery war of words amid escalating tensions. President Trump tweeting this morning, Kim Jong-un of North Korea, who is obviously a madman who doesn't mind starving or killing his people, will be tested like never before. That tweet coming on the heels of hints at frightening new weapons tests. Kim Jong-un saying in a statement, "Now that Trump has denied the existence of and insulted me and my country in front of the eyes of the world and made the most ferocious declaration of a war in history, we will consider a corresponding highest level of hardline countermeasure in history." The North Korean foreign minister announcing that highest level could include testing a hydrogen bomb over the Pacific Ocean, all in response to the president's address at the United Nations on Tuesday.
If it is forced to defend itself or its allies, we will have no choice but to totally destroy North Korea.
Now, Kim Jong-un says President Trump will pay dearly for those words, calling him mentally deranged, a gangster unfit for office. President Trump announcing more economic sanctions and saying China, North Korea's largest trading partner, has agreed to new measures aimed at isolating Kim Jong-un, including the country's biggest banks immediately ending business with Pyongyang.
All of our military options, as the president has said, is on the table.
And ever since Kim Jong-un called President Trump a mentally deranged U.S. dotard, searches have spiked for the word dotard. It means an old person, especially one who's become weak or senile. That word and hashtag already used hundreds of thousands of times. Janae Norman, ABC News, Washington.
This noon, we're learning more about the victim in what police are calling a targeted shooting in the Kensington section of the city. Police tell Action News the victim, a 38-year-old man, was sitting in a van at Custer and Clearfield when another man on a bike rode up to him and then opened fire. The victim was shot once in the arm and leg. He was taken to Episcopal Hospital, where he is listed in stable condition. No arrests have been made, but police say they are looking at whether nearby surveillance cameras captured the incident. Two men sitting in a car were shot in the city's Strawberry Mansions section. Chopper 6 HD was over the scene on the 1800 block of North 33rd Street around 8:30 last night. Police say a 33-year-old man in the driver's seat was shot in the chest. He was taken to Hahnemann Hospital, where he later died. Police also found a 31-year-old man they believe was in the passenger seat of the vehicle. He was taken to Temple Hospital with a head wound considered to be grave. He is listed in stable condition. No arrests have been made. Classes are back in session at the Methacton School District following a 3-day teacher strike over a contract dispute. Action News reporter John Rollins is in Montgomery County with the agreement that allowed those schools to reopen.
Apparently, the two sides had not been making any progress at the bargaining table, so now the focus is on a third-party process, which means, at least for now, the teachers are back at work. After 3 days of a strike, 7th to 12th grade back in class this morning. Younger students still off for a scheduled in-service day. They will return on Monday. The walkout began last Monday. The district indicated it had offered a wage hike package that averaged more than $10,000 over a 3-year pact. More divisive, though, it also wanted teachers to shoulder a higher cost-sharing figure for health care. After talks stalled, the Methacton Education Association agreed to a board offer for what is called final best offer arbitration. Diane Kernop, a union president, explains her understanding of the plan, which apparently calls for both sides to put their bottom line cards on the table for all to see.
Before Tuesday, both sides will give their last best offer to each other, I would assume, and then it goes public. And there will be a 20-day period where the public can come and comment on both proposals. And then it will go to an arbitrator, and it's not really one person, it's a 3-person panel.
The public's feedback will go to that panel, and the panel will hear directly from both sides. Once everything is heard, the arbitrators will have 20 days to render a decision. Once the panel does make its decision, it will be up to the union and the school board to either accept or reject. If there is a rejection, it is possible that teachers could once again walk out. In Eagleville, John Rollins, Channel 6 Action News.
Officials in Delaware announced a major investment in the state's transportation infrastructure today. Governor John Carney helped unveil a plan to spend nearly $3.5 billion over the next 6 years. That money will go towards things like bridges, roads, and transit hubs. A quarter of the funding is targeted for Wilmington alone. Officials say the investment will make the city a more attractive place to live, work, and do business. Still to come on Action News this noon, we'll tell you what Facebook plans to do with ads Russia purchased leading up to the 2016 U.S. presidential election. And the NTSB reveals what likely caused a plane to overrun a runway with Vice President Pence on board.
Look for the 6 ABC Barbera Autoland Webmobile on the road and at our events. Charge your phone. Use
A woman and 2 children were rescued after a ship overturned off the coast of Puerto Rico. The Coast Guard received a distress call Wednesday but lost contact with the vessel because of Hurricane Maria. Crews were able to locate them yesterday. Authorities described the ship as a research vessel that the family was using as a recreational vessel. They say a man was reported dead inside the ship, which the Coast Guard said was inaccessible to search and rescue crews. We have new developments this afternoon in the Russia investigation. Facebook admits Russian agents bought thousands of ads during the election. CEO Mark Zuckerberg says he now plans to turn those ads over to Congress. Russian companies spent more than $100,000 on roughly 3,000 Facebook ads during the campaign, many of them praising Donald Trump or attacking Hillary Clinton and others dealing with controversial issues. Until now, Facebook has refused to let Congress keep copies of even the few ads that they did show them.
They showed the Senate staff 7 of those ads, and they didn't allow us to even keep them, and that was just with staff. So
they showed them and took them back.
Well, Zuckerberg did not say Facebook would prohibit the Russians from buying political ads again, but he did say the company will at least make it clear who paid for them. Investigators say they have also found huge numbers of fake Facebook pages linked to Russians. A number of failures by a flight crew last fall likely caused a plane carrying then Vice Presidential candidate Mike Pence to overrun a runway. The NTSB's final report details the events leading up to the incident at LaGuardia Airport back on October 27th. The report blames the flight's first officer for not getting the plane's wheels on the ground within the first third of the runway. At that point, the NTSB says there should have been a go-around maneuver instead of a landing attempt. The captain's failure to assume control of the plane also led to conflicting inputs from other pilots. None of the 11 crew members or 37 passengers on board were hurt. In Plano, Texas, a beloved crossing guard got a huge surprise from the students that he helps every day. Luther Walker truly loves his job. In fact, he hasn't missed a day since he was 83 years old. That is, until last week when he just didn't show up. Well, the World War II vet was then found on the side of the road, passed out in his car. Students, faculty, and staff were worried. They wanted to show Walker how much they appreciate him. So when he came back to work, they gave him a big birthday surprise, making him cards, giving him gifts, and even paying the rent on his apartment.
That means more than anything in the world. That helps me maybe live a little longer.
Love this guy. Walker has been the crossing guard since 2006 at that school. He turns 94 this week. Happy birthday, Luther. Coming up at noon, we'll tell you why California is not too happy with a video game that was released by Gatorade. Gatorade is in hot water for telling gamers to avoid water. It stems from a mobile game called Bolt that came out back in 2012. The opening instructions warn, keep your performance level high by avoiding water. California's Attorney General says that violated the state's consumer protection laws by making misleading statements about water. Now, Gatorade must pay $300,000 to the Attorney General's office. $120,000 of that will now fund education about the importance of drinking water and also proper nutrition in kids and teenagers. General Mills is bringing back the original Trix recipe, the one made with artificial dyes and ingredients. This comes less than 2 years after the ingredients were banned from the cereal. The new natural version lost its famous neon colors, and the blue and green pieces had to go because the cereal makers couldn't find natural replacements. So customers have been asking to bring back the original formula, and now General Mills will sell both the natural and artificial versions of Trix. In today's health check, a new study has found that increased exposure to fluoride in the womb may be linked to a lower IQ in children. The study published in the Journal of Environmental Health Perspectives examined mothers and children in Mexico. They measured prenatal fluoride exposure and then tested the children's cognitive development. It found a drop in scores on intelligence tests with increased in utero fluoride exposure. Following birth, fluoride exposure didn't appear to have a significant effect on brain development. The Action News team is out working on news stories for tonight beginning at 4 o'clock, and there's a new health trend that uses genetics to determine which diet is best for you. We'll tell you about a new at-home test that collects your genes to help you make healthier choices. And this all started with a talk show host poking fun at an outdoor train display at one of our sister stations. And guess what? It turned into a model train dream come true. We'll explain coming up today at 4 in Big Talkers. AccuWeather is next this Friday afternoon. Meteorologist Melissa McGee will have your exclusive AccuWeather 7-day forecast when Action News comes right back. Meteorologist Melissa McGee with your AccuWeather forecast. Fall arrives later this afternoon, but summer isn't leaving either.
Yeah, it's not going to feel like fall as we get into 4:02 this afternoon. Temperatures still well above average as we head into our weekend. We'll show you what's going on outside. Storm Tracker 6 live double scan radar showing you it is dry. It's quiet. No issues with precipitation. In fact, we're going to be dry for the next 5 days across the Delaware and Lehigh Valley. So a good warming trend is on the way if you're not yet ready for fall to arrive. We'll show you the picture outside. Sky 6 Live in HD. We are down the shore in Cape May. It looks beautiful. However, I wouldn't venture out into the water. There is a high risk for rip currents today, and even as we head into our weekend with Jose churning just out into the Atlantic. Right now in Philadelphia, we're coming in at 75 degrees, 79 for Allentown and Reading. Same thing in Lancaster. Up in the Poconos right now, 75 down in Dover, and at the coast in Cape May, and it's 73. Here's Satellite 6 along with Action Radar. We've got a partly sunny sky across our region, but you notice here is what's left of what was once Hurricane Jose. This is now a post-tropical system, but still the rain affecting southeastern sections of New England and coastal sections of New England, and because of that, they will be in and out of the wet weather, and Jose is actually churning up the seas out along the Atlantic, which is why that rip current risk is in effect. On top of that, we've got a coastal flood advisory until 3 o'clock today. This is for Atlantic City, Ocean City, down to Cape May. Ocean waves anywhere from 4 to 6 feet, so minor flooding is a bit of a concern. The call from AccuWeather, though, for the rest of today, sunshine and clouds, unseasonably warm. Typically, for this time of year, we should be closer to about 76. We're well above that today, maxing out at 85 in Philadelphia with a northerly wind at 8 to 16 miles per hour. Then overnight tonight, it's partly cloudy. It's pretty comfortable with lower humidity. We'll drop down to 66 in Philadelphia with a northerly wind at 7 to 14. Down to the tropics because we are still watching Hurricane Maria, a Category 3 storm. Wind sustained right now 125 miles per hour. It's moving away from the Turks and Caicos Islands, but it will be getting closer to southeastern sections and eastern sections of Bahamas as we head into our weekend. As this moves to the northwest and eventually the north, this will more than likely weaken as it travels and parallels the east coast, but we've got pretty good consensus that this will more than likely stay offshore even as we track it into early next week. However, a lot can change from now until then, so we'll keep you posted. Here's the exclusive AccuWeather 7-day forecast. It's warm. It is pleasant today. It will not feel like fall. A high temperature of 85 degrees, and the autumnal equinox begins at 4:02 this afternoon when the sun's direct rays right over the equator. Sunny and warm on Saturday, a high temperature in at 88 degrees. On Sunday, it's sunny and humid, a high up to 91. Near record heat by Monday with a high temperature in at 91 degrees. Partly sunny on Tuesday. We are still hot. If we hit 90, this could more than likely be a heat wave in our fall season. On Wednesday, sunshine and clouds, a high up to 84. Thursday, we're looking dry with plenty of sun with a high temperature by then coming in at 82. So a really warm fall weekend up ahead for us, Alicia. So if you're not ready to say goodbye, you got a little bit more warmth on the way.
Good thing I'm a procrastinator and all the summer clothes are still sitting around.
Exactly. Good point.
Thank you. A service horse in Nebraska is retiring and the police department threw him a goodbye party. 18-year-old Blaze worked with the Omaha Police Department for 3 years. This week, the officers, they made him a cake to celebrate. As you can see, he's got carrots there, apples, and whipped cream, all his favorites, pretty much everything a horse could ask for. Police say Blaze will see out his retirement at a pasture in Ohio. Maybe get some golf in, right? There's still much more ahead for you in the next half hour of Action News at noon, including a Halloween display that was a little too lifelike for neighbors. What they did when they saw what appeared to be a body stuck under a garage door full of blood, and a harbor seal that had to have its fin amputated after it was hit by a boat is now headed to its new home. Those stories and much more coming up next on Action.